I'm still not entirely sure what it was. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's known here, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is coming from Lionel off Erowid. When this happened, 2007, the drugs used were an unknown substance and diphenhydramine at a dose of 1 pill and then 125 milligrams of diphenhydramine. The route of administration is through insufflation and orally. Gender, female. Weight, 120 pounds, and the setting is at home. So here we have another report where a user takes an unknown substance. It's pretty different from the last two we did, and I think we have a pretty good idea of what it may be. So I think you guys will find this one interesting, and without further ado, let's dive right into it. I don't regularly take pills. It's not something I really enjoy, and I rarely have them anyway. But a little while ago, a friend of mine gave me a line or two of some pill. She's a great friend. Lots of experience when it comes to drugs, so I figured it was probably a Percocet or something and snorted it. It was around 5 p.m. After a little while, I started to feel dizzy and heavy, like most drugs do to me, but it wasn't noticeably affecting my mood. It wasn't high. It felt more like being drunk. I tried to run for a few feet and just about fell on my face. It was somewhat pleasant, nonetheless. I didn't notice the cold weather hardly as much as I did before I took it. At around 5:30, my buddies took me home and left. I took about 4 to 6 Benadryls. I really don't remember how many I took. It was around 150 milligrams of diphenhydramine. At around 6:30-ish, the Benadryl was kicking in pretty well. I was really drowsy and I just felt heavy all around. The weird things I was seeing because of the Benadryl wasn't helping too much either. Everything was twitching and I kept imagining people walking around my house. But it didn't bug me too much because I am very familiar with the effects of diphenhydramine. I decided to lie down for a few minutes and that's all I remember happening. I passed out, I guess. It wasn't any later than 7. I woke up at around 5 or 6 in the morning, completely clueless to my surroundings, of course. It only took me a few minutes to figure out that I had fallen asleep and had been in the same spot for the past 10 hours. I hadn't even taken anything off before I lied down. I was completely dressed, sans boots. All the windows on my computer were the same, and I didn't even turn my lights off before I fell asleep. It was whatever, I thought. I just fell asleep. Got ready and went to school as usual when I found out one of my other friends who had done the same pill just earlier in the day, she took hers around 9 a.m., had been in the emergency room all yesterday and was still in the hospital for an overdose. I don't know how many she took. It was probably 2 or 3. As it turns out, the friend that gave me the line didn't even know what it was. She was under the impression it was Valium or Percocet. When I told her that I passed out and had no clue what was going on, she flipped and told me to take it easy. I was talking to an acquaintance of mine the other day about the experience. I described the pill to him. It was a yellow/orange color and had an ellipse. He told me it was probably Xanax. I don't know though. I've never heard of Xanax hospitalizing anyone. I definitely didn't expect any of that to happen. All I expected was maybe a buzz, like a mild high. Turns out this shit sent a friend of mine into the hospital. I have no clue what happened to her after that. I asked her boyfriend, and he didn't know either. And it made me conk out for a good 10 hours. All I suggest to people is, don't take anything unless you are 100% aware of what it is. So here we are with another unknown drug experience, which, unlike the previous ones, this one doesn't seem to be a random RC that causes a variety of foreign effects. Now, just from the description we got near the end, I do want to guess that it is Xanax, because the yellow ovals are some I've had experience with, and every time I ran into a pill like that, it's been Xanax. And based off this experience, it wouldn't be too surprising if it was alprazolam. Keep in mind though too, that this pill was snorted, which if it was Xanax, well, Xanax isn't completely water soluble, meaning it's not going to be absorbed all the way, and there's going to be reduced effects, while at the same time potentially damaging your nasal passages. But at the start of the experience, we can see that there was some motor loss control, which, if you've been pretty barred, you know that you can just be all over the place. and the comparison to being drunk stands pretty solid. Xanax can cause similar sedative effects. Now when she decides to take the Benadryl, things get a bit weird with the delirium effects. Now personally, I've had a fair amount of Xanax with a good amount of Benadryl together, and it did nothing to increase the delirium that I could have experienced. But then again, maybe this wasn't exactly alprazolam, or maybe lionel just happened to be more susceptible to experiencing delirium. Regardless though, it isn't surprising that lionel just kind of passed out of nowhere, and even if it wasn't Xanax, it seemed to be a sedative if anything, and Benadryl on top of that already acts as a sleep aid. Now as for her friend, it wouldn't be too surprising either if she happened to be on Xanax and ended up getting hospitalized, especially if she took multiple pills. At a strong dose, Xanax can cause you to black out, leaving you to act like an idiot most of the time, and if she happened to be around family or her parents, for example, best believe they're taking Susie or whoever to the hospital when she's acting like a 4-year-old. But at the end of the day, this was definitely a carefree act that could have ended up being much worse. Taking random pills you don't know is pretty much a recipe for disaster. It can easily jeopardize your health and safety, and obviously, by not having expectations of what you're taking, you pretty much eliminate any precautionary methods that are appropriate. So we're going to leave it there. If you guys did enjoy this, let me know below, and we can do more unknown substances or whatever. If you guys did like this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow the socials. It's been someone that's no one, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.